Story 1. Am I the a-hole for throwing away my girlfriend's unalive best friend's t-shirt? I know it sounds bad, but hear me out. I've been with my girlfriend for a couple of years, and we live together. My girlfriend lost her best friend of 10 years her senior year of college. They had gone through a lot together, but the best friend had some untreated mental health issues, and she lost the fight against her depression. My girlfriend was the one who found her. They lived together at the time. This caused my girlfriend to spiral. She wound up helping the parents go through her stuff. She now has a box of old journals that were her best friend's. They had a pact that if one passes away, they wouldn't let anyone else read them, too embarrassing or something. A t-shirt, some art she had done, and a bunch of scrapbooks. My girlfriend was in a dark place for a long time. I met her a couple of years after the incident, and it's taken time, but she has gotten better. She was and is in counseling for grief and other stuff. She used to talk about the friend constantly, but now it's down to every once in a while. Now, generally, when I clean, I take stuff and put it in a bag and tell her to go through it before I throw it out. Today, I was going through our closet and was making donation and throwaway piles. I asked her to go through it when I was done, but she had a lot of work and said it was probably fine. She generally doesn't care too much about her clothes, and I think she was overwhelmed. Well, I threw out the stuff that was worn and old and ripped, etc. Then, after I showered, my girlfriend came yelling at me, demanding to know where the t-shirt was. I asked her what t-shirt, and she said the one belonging to her passed-away best friend. I asked if she lost it, and she said no, it was in the closet. So then I said it might have gotten thrown out. She just started screaming at me. I asked her to go through the piles, but she said no. But then she said that it should have never been in the piles given how much she's talked about the friend, and that apparently she told me the story behind the t-shirt. I don't recall it. I knew there was a story, and I knew there was a t-shirt, but I never paid enough attention to which shirt. Well, she has now taken a bag to her brother's. I just don't get why she's so upset. She has all of these other things to remember a friend by. A t-shirt isn't that big of a deal. No, you are the a-hole. You should have paid more attention. This was something she has gone through with her friend for a while, and she has gone through a lot with it. You would no sooner throw a t-shirt out knowing about it than throwing out those diaries she was keeping, the journals. That is a very big thing. That's something you should have paid attention to. I mean, it's good that you're helping her and supporting her get better, but yeah, communicate a little bit more. That should have been something you should have kept an eye out for. Definitely the a-hole. Story 2. Don't tell people you're leaving. Okay, I won't. About 10 years ago, during my first full-time job out of college, I had a boss who decided she hated me. I'm not completely sure why, but she would go out of her way to make my life miserable. Demoted me to an overnight shift, but wouldn't give me a reason. Changed my shift around on a whim without notice. Once changed my schedule for the next day after I had left without telling me, then wrote me up when I didn't show up on time. Stuff like that. She was a monster, so I was looking for another job. Well, I found one, and I went in to give her my 2 weeks' notice. This happened to be in the middle of a mass exodus for the company, as I was the 5th person to quit over the course of about 3 to 4 weeks. Morale was very low, and whenever anyone quit, she would buy pizza for everyone instead of addressing why the place was so miserable and people were leaving. After I gave her 2 weeks' notice, she said, "Don't tell anyone you're leaving." So I said, "Okay," and walked out of her office and announced to all my coworkers, "Hey, guess what, everyone? You're all getting pizza." And they instantly knew what had happened. She was very unhappy, and I felt great. I served out the rest of my 2 weeks, and she never spoke to me again. Yeah, the way she treated you if she was switching things around on you and demoting you and doing all this stuff. I really don't see any kind of downside to this. You were just kind of doing what she was doing to you all that time, and you were kind of maliciously compliant. Definitely were not telling anybody that you were leaving. Story 3. Entitled mom shoves her kid into my classroom and runs. Not sure if this is entitled parents or choosing beggars. For context, in my late teens and early 20s, I ran a free after-school program for kids out of a community center. The program was for kids aged 8 to 12 whose parents were currently undergoing a messy divorce. We had a sister program next door for parents of the kids. It was part class, part community group, part group counseling. With the kids, myself and another volunteer discussed handling anger, preparing them for joint custody, changes in finances, what alimony and child support were, etc. The class was free. Some of the materials were paid for by the center, and the rest I covered myself. I liked the class, and it gave me a bit of padding on my resume, so I didn't mind buying snacks, coloring materials, and prizes for the kids. At the time, we were a few weeks into the class, and I had 8 kids who were attending. 8 is a great number, because do you know how many things come in packs of 8? It meant I bought stuff in those 8 packs so each kid would have something and I didn't waste money on spares. So this afternoon, the kids are coming in, and this parent I haven't met with an unknown child comes by and sort of drops the kid off without a word to me or her child. It's been a few years, but here's the conversation as I remember it. Me, ma'am, entitled mom. What? Me, hi, I don't think we've met. Your son isn't enrolled in this class currently. You can't just drop him off with me. Entitled mom. I was told this class was free. Me. It is, but it's not a daycare. You do have to enroll your child first, and at the beginning of the term. I can't watch any child who comes by. There are things I need to know, like allergies, emergency contacts, his name. Entitled mom. Well, you can ask me right now. Me. I'm sorry, but the class is starting right now, so I can't. But you can enroll him in the next term. You can find information on how to do that at insert information. Entitled mom, rolling her eyes. I have an appointment. Can't you just take him? For the record, the parents were supposed to be enrolled in the class across the hall, not just use us for free childcare. Me. I can't. Besides, I didn't know I'd have another student today, so I don't have enough supplies or snacks for him. Entitled mom. Oh, he doesn't need any snacks. He won't mind. Me. Ma'am, of course he's going to mind, all the kids eating Nutella snack packs and Capri Suns, and that all the other kids have workbooks and he doesn't. It's not fair to him. Besides, it's not really safe for me to watch a child that I have no information for, so you can sign him up for the next term. Entitled mom gets all huffy. Fine. EM grabs her kid and storms off. That was the end of it, or so I thought. A few minutes later, I'm working with the kids, and the other volunteer is setting up our next activity. The door opens a crack. The same kid as before is shoved in, and the door slams. The other volunteer and I share a what the hell look, but I open the door and look out, and entitled mom is booking it down the hallway. Me, ma'am! Entitled mom, yelling without turning around. I'll be back in a few hours. Me, never mind, the class is only an hour long. Half running after her. Ma'am, if you don't come and collect your son, I will call the police about an unaccompanied minor. He won't be here when you get back. Entitled mom stops, sighs, turns around and pegs me with a glare. You are being so inflexible. This is terrible customer service. Me, you're not a customer. Please take your son. Entitled mom grabs her kid's hand and starts storming off while yelling, I can't believe you would call the police on a child. What kind of teacher are you? I'm going to tell your boss about how horrible you were to me and my son. To this day, I wonder if she attempted to talk to my boss about my behavior, or imagining the look on her face when she found out the boss of the program was me. Yeah, childcare is expensive. Everybody has trouble finding a sitter. I can sympathize with someone trying to find a way to have someone look after their kid while they get to an appointment, but this is just really entitled behavior, just thinking they'll look after the kid. I think she was preying on these people being emotional and kind of, oh, you poor thing, here, we'll watch you. No, I think they did the right thing by saying, hey, we'll call the cops about an unaccompanied minor. Just completely the right thing. This woman is kind of being negligent, and we don't even know what the appointment is. We don't know if it's a job interview appointment or if it's just an appointment to hang out with friends. Story 4. T-Mobile allowed a fake identification, and my sister lost her life savings. A scammer walked into a T-Mobile with a fake ID of my brother-in-law, switched my sister's SIM to a phone he owned to perform what's called a SIM swap scam. He then stole everything from her online cryptocurrency accounts and probably has info and access to every part of her life. T-Mobile ideally should be held accountable for allowing this to happen, but I'm not sure if it holds up because I haven't seen any cases that have won in this exact scenario. What can she do? I'm not a lawyer. I don't know. I mean, I would say consult a lawyer. Figure out what's going on. Find someone who is skilled in identity and this kind of situation. I've been to countries where if you lose your phone or if you don't have a SIM anymore that's tied to your bank account, you have to go through a long process just to get that stuff back. And you have to pay to have some stuff replaced too. There are places where people have their whole lives on their phones, including their bank account information. I mean, legitimate banks. Let's forget the cryptocurrency thing for a while. This is really serious, and I'm wondering if there are types of legislation or if there are indeed any lawyers who are starting to specialize in this kind of thing and what can be done. I'm wondering too. Anybody else out there have any information? What do you think?
Please like and subscribe if you've made it this far. I hope you'll enjoy the rest of the video and have a wonderful day.
Story 5. Am I the a-hole for telling my roommate that her anorexia is not my problem? We're both 23 female. It's been getting into the 90s Fahrenheit where I live, so I've been turning on the AC when I get home. I also work a physically intense outdoor job, so I come home really sweaty and exhausted from the heat. The apartment will stay cool enough for me to fall asleep, but then later on, I'll wake up in the middle of the night completely drenched in sweat. I'll then get up and find out that my roommate has been switching the AC off while I'm sleeping. This really upsets me because it's been making me really dehydrated and tired to begin with from not sleeping well, and it's been impacting my work. She's unemployed right now, so I thought she might have been hung up about the power bill. When I finally talked to her about it, I explained that I'm already very sensitive to heat to begin with, and that because we're fortunate enough to have AC, I want to enjoy it when I get home, especially after a long day at work, and that the heat is causing problems for me. I even offered to foot some of her share of the power bill if she was really that concerned about it. But then she said that she turns it off because the apartment gets too cold. I should add that our AC is set at 70 and has never been moved lower than that. I told her that she should just use some blankets or put a sweater on if it was really bothering her, because the heat is unbearable. She then countered by saying that because she's in recovery from anorexia, she's really sensitive to cold and that I'm not prioritizing her needs. I then responded by saying, I'm sympathetic to your situation, but that's your problem and not mine. And it's starting to have a negative impact on me, and we need to find some middle ground here because I can't take off my skin when it gets too hot. She then got extremely upset and angry and told me that I was being ableist and sensitive. I'm kind of bothered by this because I've also had struggles with eating disorders in the past. So, am I the a-hole here? Additional info from a comment I made so it doesn't get buried. I I see a lot of people making the assumption that I'm completely unwilling to compromise with her or that I'm set on having it at 70. During our talk, I offered to adjust the temperature, but she wants it completely off. Not adjusted, off all the way. And that was what made me angry. I don't think so. You both have situations that are impacting both your living situations. You have a job that is bringing you this kind of situation of your kind of condition when you get home. She's recovering from something, and it would help to find a compromise. And she seems unwilling to compromise, and it seems like she's just using her condition to be more of a victim while you're trying to work things out. Not really the a-hole. If she's making the whole thing about her, then yeah, the whole thing isn't your problem. You both have to find a middle ground. She's just not willing to concede it. No, you're not being an a-hole for kind of saying, not my problem. Story 6. Am I the a-hole for not giving my girlfriend, 25 female, my dinner after I had already bought her dinner? My girlfriend, 25 female, and I, 29 male, live in New York City, and there's a popular app where you buy leftover restaurant food. Restaurants advertise surprise bags at a reduced price in order to reduce food waste. The customer doesn't know what they're getting until they pick the food up, but the cost is at least 3 times lower than the normal menu price. Example, if an entree is usually $24, then the restaurant is allowed to charge $8 at most for it. These are hit or miss. Sometimes you get exactly what you want at a greatly reduced price, but sometimes you get something that you otherwise wouldn't have picked from the menu. I ordered a surprise bag from a barbecue place that I was picking up on the way home yesterday. I texted my girlfriend asking if she wanted one, but she said no. She wasn't in the mood for barbecue. However, there was an Indian restaurant right next door that also had surprise bags available on the app, so she ordered one of them. The barbecue was $12 and the Indian food was $10. When I got home, I unpacked the meals to see what we've got. I was psyched about my bag. Since I paid $12, I knew the value had to be at least $36. But honestly, the platter looked a lot more expensive. This was a hit. Keep in mind that we live in the West Village, which is the most expensive neighborhood in the most expensive city in the U.S., so $36 for one meal is pretty typical. There were burnt ends, ribs, pulled pork, baked beans, potato salad, bread, onions, and pickles. My girlfriend, however, was less lucky. Her surprise bag only had 6 different types of soup, half of them being variations on cauliflower soup. She was disappointed, to say the least. She asked if we should share my barbecue, and I said, no, I'm hungry. I offered to buy you some already, and you said no, so I'm going to devour it. She got mad and called me the a-hole. I told her that if she didn't want soup, she should have ordered something specifically instead of using the surprise bag app. I then told her to just order something off a food delivery app. She said she didn't want to spend the money. Another bit of context is I make a lot more money than her and pay all of our rent. I know she's running a bit of a lean financial picture right now. I then tell her that if she doesn't want to pay for delivery, I'll walk to the bodega on our street and can buy her something there. Another bit of context is that we live on a 4th floor walk-up with no elevator, and she broke her leg in a car accident a month ago, so it can be tough for her to get around. She says the grill is probably off there and all she wants is a hot meal. I tell her she has soup. Anyway, she thinks I'm the a-hole. But in my defense, 1, I offered to buy her barbecue to begin with, which she declined. 2, she picked out her own food and I grabbed it for her on the way home. 3, when she wasn't satisfied, I suggested 2 solutions, either ordering something from an app or going to a bodega. So, am I the a-hole? Could you have not shared any of it? You'd sound like you hit the mother lode on this thing and there was quite a lot available. Maybe share a little bit with her? I mean, you were good at offering some solutions, something from an app or going to a bodega, offering to go for her. But yeah, I mean, she had soup. She probably doesn't want soup. And maybe offer a little bit of what you had. You know, you could go down to the bodega and get something else if you're hungry after that. Not quite the a-hole, kind of, you know? Kind of, not really. What do you think?
Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.